welcome to another season of A Dacetacular Mind. I'm Chris the Dace Man, Dace, and last time we met, I had some interesting conversations with people like Frank Ward, Ashley Cotter, Carissa LaCava, and Cheever. So we did Dacetacular people, and now that we've kind of gotten away from that for a little bit, we're going to go back and unlock this mind. And the topic that I want to talk about today is hope. Hope. In fearful day, in raging night, with strong hearts full, our souls ignite. When all seems lost in the war of light, look to the stars, for hope burns bright. The Blue Lantern Corps motto. Now, we live in a day and age right now where, I don't know, things seem kind of bleak. We're one executive order away from being 1939 Germany. And what I mean by that is we're rounding up people, we're putting them in camps, and we're saying we're doing it in the name of patriotism. But, you know, that's some deaths happening there, and then we got death camps. Not saying we're there yet, but we have a lot of tendencies that are trending that way. Executive orders taking over for the processes of Congress, gerrymandering of districts. It's rough right now. Which brings me back to the point of hope. There's a lot of people who just don't see it right now. Cost of living's way too high. There's no affordable housing. Tariffs. I can tell you what a tariff means. I don't know if that's what's happening in practice. There's this weird vibe that can lead one to believe that hope as a whole is gone. But I don't feel that way. Well, I try not to, at least. I keep plugging at it. And the reason I'm using hope and I'm talking about Dacetacular Mind is because I keep chugging away. One thing I do to distract myself is to submerge myself in projects, whether it be maintaining my yard, writing articles at basementprotocolproductions.com, doing podcasts, streaming video games, just something to keep active, pushing content. And I know you're going to sit there and say, well, this content doesn't get a lot of views, but it's the process that helps you not deal with the crap that's going on. Because, yeah, I could sit there. Let's just take everything off the table. I don't do my podcasts anymore, which I've got 3 going right now. I don't do the show anymore, which we just rebooted and tried to give vibes of the Dace Man show and Weekly Protocol into one. I'm writing articles. I work 8 to 5. I take care of my yard in the downtime, like things that probably don't need to be taken care of that people probably just let go. And I'm part of the soccer board in the local township. I do these things to keep my mind active because if not, then there's downtime. And I have lots of downtime at night when I try to go to sleep. And it's probably why for the last 4 days, I haven't gotten much sleep because that is the opportunity for my mind to just run wild. With all that being said, why? If you're having an average of 1 to 5 viewers, if that, and the 1 to 5 is probably the people making the content, it's the process. Some people pay hundreds of dollars for therapy. Some people drink. Some people do drugs. Some people find their outlets elsewhere. To me, content creation is that outlet because even if it's not being viewed by millions, which is the goal, don't like dismiss that at all. The hope is that one day this would be viewed and could be a living because it's something I enjoy, talking TV, talking comics, talking movies, talking video games. But realistically right now, it's kind of just a coping mechanism, coping device. I don't drink alcohol. It's been 2 years since I've gotten, quote, drunk. I don't do anything else like that. I don't, the only vice I have is Celsius, and that's because the can says fit on it. And that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. But this is my vice. This is my addiction. This is my adrenaline rush. This is my dopamine fix. Just recording content, and that's why it gives me a little bit of hope. Um, because I have the ability to keep doing this, right? Like we work the 8 to 5. You do the dad thing from 5 to 9, and then 9 to midnight is when you do your content thing, or you find little bits and pieces and times when you can do it throughout the week to fill the holes. I don't think if I had this, I'd, I'd probably be an alcoholic, to be honest with you. One key thing is I don't drink anymore because I do fear that I can overindulge in things, and overindulging in alcohol would lead to this bleak and hopeless future where I'm just in a constant numb state of drunk. And I don't want that. Not to mention, a hell of a motivator is having a 3-year-old that will smack you in the head at 6 a.m. And I'm not dealing with a hangover and a little asshole at 6 a.m. So I try to be productive. And the counter argument can be, is it productive if nobody listens or nobody watches or nobody reads or nobody plays or whatever the case may be? And you know, again, it's the process. It's the hope, the established point of view that I have the ability to express myself. And expressing myself is giving my opinions on recent seasons of shows. I happen to watch TV a lot more than most people within the BPP realm, and I don't have an outlet to talk about it, so I started writing articles again about it on our site. That gives me the opportunity to express those feelings and get it out. Um, the Dacetacular Mind. I tried therapy. It didn't work. My personality mixed with a therapist is just oil and vinegar, you know, or oil and water. I don't know what the expressing is, but it doesn't meld well because as they're trying to help me, I'm just being counterproductive and either making shit up to entertain myself or just being stubborn because I only let people in so far. So to have a Dacetacular Mind and to talk about things like hope and empathy and things like that, that's therapeutic to me. And pretty much the only way I know how to express myself is through a microphone, a camera, and nobody in the room. Um, So yeah, I think that brings us back to the original idea of hope. You diminish hope, these things don't grow, they don't nurture. And right now there's a lot of hopelessness feelings out there. I see it. Um, I'm watching it across the board. If you go back to January, it probably was about 50-50. The tides are turning because promises made, promises not kept, and people are feeling it. You know, I get it. People voted because they didn't want the status quo. That's why it happened in 2016. Why it happened again in 2024. You want the system to break. Um, and he's, to his credit, he's probably one of the best bullshitters and salesmen on the planet. He will spin a lie. He will sell you the lie. People will buy the lie. I voted for him in 2016. I wanted the establishment broken. But then when the writing was on the wall of how he was going to break the establishment and what the establishment breaking meant and who it meant for is why I didn't want Kamala and when Joe. I don't like the idea that this country's ran by a median age of 70 who are making decisions and investments into things that will happen long after they are on this planet. I mean, the big beautiful bill thing. You know, they talk about hope. You talk about big beautiful bill. We talked about in the weekly protocol. AI is unchecked for the next 10 years, and most of the people who voted for that bill or were involved in the voting of that bill or the designing of that bill or the drafting of that bill aren't going to be around in 10 years. And I don't, unless they're using AI to prolong their lives. Um, there's a good chance that the majority of the people who voted for that bill, who don't understand computers in general, and it came from like I used to write letters when I started in Congress to now I type in all caps, shouldn't have been making those decisions. And it stems back to the hope thing. You sit there, you watch all this transpire, you keep hearing how tariffs are going to be the greatest thing and make the country money. You pay into tariffs. End of the story. It boggles my mind that the American people want to break the establishment, but at the same time are handing their fate over to big corporations and that they'll have good faith in the hope that they'll do the right thing. Well, bottom line is always the right thing in the corporation eyes, and generally anybody involved at that level because they're trying to make their money. Um, think about it. You work 45 hours and you get paid for 40. You're going to get a little pissy about that 5 hours not being compensated, either in that week that you did it or at a bonus at a certain point of the year. So everybody wants their hard work to be rewarded. And that mentality doesn't just go away once you hit a certain wage. Like, oh, yeah, now I make a million a year. I'm good. No, that million could be 2 million. That 2 million could be 3 million. So like nobody wants to give back. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, I made a million. I'm okay with giving 100,000 back. Oh, you need 200,000? I'll give it back. 800,000 will suffice. No, you hit that 1 million. You want to stay at 1 million, and then you find ways to maintain that 1 million, if not grow that 1 million. And here we are putting these tariffs on other countries in the hope that the corporations will do a good thing and eat the costs. They're not. They just realistically they're not. That's not how capitalism works. It's just not how business works. He did this in 2017. I worked in the automotive business. I saw this happen. I saw it unfold. Those prices never went down. Your rotor and brake change or your starter change used to be $100. Boom. In, out, gone. Mechanic ate about 80 bucks of that. 20 parts went to parts. 20 bucks went to the parts. You're now $100 for the parts for brake and rotor change. And mind you, when you throw these rotors back or you return these cores, they rebuild it and they resell it to you and remanufacture it, or they send it back to the factory and they fix it and they send it back out. So they're not really, the labor's the same. The price of the materials went up. Now you're telling me because I moved my factory from China to Mexico, I'm going to tariff the shit out of Mexico, those prices are going to go up again. It's weird that there's this hope building around the fact that these tariffs are a savior, and that's why I'm not trying to get too political, but that's why you bring it in because it's you feel hopeless because you can't control it. You can't do anything about it. We are stuck at the minimum for the next 2 years dealing with this crap. Right, wrong, or indifferent. He could put more money in all our pockets. He could take more money out of our pockets. We don't know until the end of we hit the finish line. That's people wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt in 2016 when he won. You knew what you got. Now it's that unchecked and unguarded. So you get into this hopelessness feel, like you can't get past that hopelessness. It's this emptiness. Like I can't control the price of goods. I can't control my wages. I work in an industry that is not really that's kind of tariff proof, but at the same time not because like if you think about it, companies are not going to innovate. Companies are not going to keep moving forward with technology or processes if it costs them so much more to bring in the product to make the things they're making. Um, so then they don't grow because they can't afford a project to change over their computers from paper to just a basic inventory system or an inventory system to the next level of AI. They just don't have that capital anymore because now they're paying more into their materials. And realistically, bringing manufacturing back I don't understand that entire philosophy because who the fuck wants to do that? And even if they bring manufacturing back, they're going to bring it back and they're going to try to apply robots to it because the kid or the teenager or the adult making shoes for $10 a pair for you to buy. It comes over here, it's already $25 because you expect minimum wage to be 20 to 25 to compensate for the cost of the living. And now you're outpricing you're just going to get back into the same hole and you're now working harder for less. It'll look like more, the number will be higher, but ultimately all the costs run up because American labor costs more than Chinese or Mexican or Taiwan labor because they're willing to take a lower rate. Their cost of living is lower. Their conditions are not American conditions. It's a vicious circle. So to sit there and say, "Yeah, I want manufacturing back," no, you don't. You don't, because oh, you got your manufacturing job back. Fantastic. I'm so happy for you. You're working in a plant and you're building things again. That thing now costs 3 times more because it was made in America, and we had to pay for your wage, and the upper executives are not taking a cut to their bonus. That's why it moved out in the first place. And then the whole other aspect of the tariffs of, "All right, I'm going to tariff bananas." You can't grow them. Coffee, bananas, certain like vegetables and fruits and organic materials just can't be grown in this climate. And you're tariffing that stuff coming in when there's no possible. They're like, what is the means to the end, or the ends to the mean? Like, we can't see that right now, and that causes the hopelessness. And I know I'm just probably regurgitating millions of things you've heard over the past 6 months. And yes, it's only been like 6 months, what, 7 months? Oh, yeah, well, 7 full months at this point. And we've got 3 more years of this, at the least a year and a half. If things go, at least we can just tread water for 2 more years until something can happen. But it all stems back to hope. You got to have the hope. You got to have the fight. You got to have the drive. You got to keep putting out a podcast weekly if there's 1 to 5 people listening, because it's good for your mental health, good for your motivation, good for your drive, keeps you going, because there's the hope of something better. I think hope is a hell of a motivator, more than anger, than fear, than all that stuff that's currently driving our society. I have hope, as I'm watching this all unfold, that people are realizing, hey, he wasn't a savior. I have hope that people stand up for your neighbor who just got profiled for being a certain nationality or looks a certain way. It's weird that in 2025 we're talking about things that happened in like the 1950s and the 1960s. It's very circular. Shouldn't have to explain this type of stuff to my kids. We should be well past that. But here we are, rounding up anyone who has an accent, a little bit tanner skin. Definitely works fucking harder physically. Um, it's stupid. There's ways to do it. There's the empathetic way, the hopeful way, and then there's the way that's currently happening. And why I'm bringing up hope in this episode as we relaunch it is because I hope we get through this. I have hope we will get through this. I have hope that people are getting it, and people are turning that corner of like, okay, so my selfish wants and needs of like, oh, I want lower prices, one, didn't come to fruition, but two, is it really worth the sacrifices of violating the Constitution? That document's not perfect. For every amendment that he ignores, there's an amendment that I wish wasn't there, particularly the second. I think the hypocrisy and the rhetoric that is being spewed to American people, I'm hoping, and this is where I still have hope, this is why I wear my hat, as cynical and as grumpy and grizzled as I can be, I'm hoping people are seeing through it bullshit. I have hope they are. I have hope they will, and I have hope it'll turn it around. Because we're on a dangerous path. And to not have hope, and to not have that belief that there is a way out, that there's a light at the tunnel, that this was a social experiment that has failed awfully, and that people are inherently good. is still there. I don't care if you voted for him. I care more if you're still supporting him. I care more if you look at legal citizens being deported, people going through the legal channels to get citizenship being removed or detained. I care if that doesn't bother you. Now, we'll move past the fact that you bought the bill of goods. And unfortunately, I don't think that bill of goods is panning out. I'm judging people now by how they react now. Maybe a month in, month and a half in, 2 months in, you could justify the economic moves. Like, you got to give it time. You got to see. You got to play it out. You got to, like, okay, it's played out. You gotta look at his immigration policy. You gotta give it time. Let it play out. It's playing out. If you still have the same defensive mechanisms for that man now, and that administration and what they're doing, you're being, I think, less of you. I really do. I was very bitter in January because I had, at least I thought, foresight of what's coming, and so far, he hasn't proved me wrong. So I feel like those feelings are warranted, but really the turning point is if people still feel the way they feel in January in his defense, still there defending him, then yeah, I'm starting to lose hope for you. But I have hope, and I saw this when I went to SummerSlam. Um, America's getting it. America realizes they bought a lemon, or an orange in this matter. But America is people are inherently good. That's my hope. That's my hope that through this test, through this social experiment, we weed out the bad and we're left with a majority good. Because there's bad people. I mean, you can sit there and say, "Oh, you caught me in a conversation off guard. You caught me this off guard, blah blah blah." But there's a lot of people showing some true colors, but my hope is the true colors are better than the very loud and vocal minority on both sides, but particularly because of where we are in this point of time, the MAGA side. So I'm very hopeful that I'm okay with you being Republican. I'm not okay with you being Republican and drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, you have to have the wherewithal of, like, this is bad. And I have, my hope is, I'm going to keep using the word hope because that's the theme of this episode, is that people are doing that. Like, we'll take one last political example, the Epstein files. Why that's the line in the sand, I have no idea. But the fact that there is a line in the sand gives me hope, because you go, okay, he lied. He's made an entire life out of lying. That's how he's gotten where he's gotten. But this is the one that bothers you more. And there's a lot of people that are very vocal about this. A lot of people, like, before he's come around, before Epstein was common vernacular in society, there has been if anybody ever touched my daughter or anybody ever touched my son, I'd put a fucking bullet in their head. I've heard that. I've heard fathers say that. I, as a father, feel that if anything happened to my kids, um, hell hath no fury. And you're seeing that, at least with some of the rage behind the Epstein files, because these were somebody's daughters, somebody's sisters, somebody's, like, could be somebody's mother at this point because it's so far removed. These are humans treated in an humane, like, it's just in an inhumane way. And at least from my side, because everybody's like, "Oh, you just like," and this two side thing is dumb in and of itself. You just want the files because you think he's on it. Well, no, I want anyone who's in that file who's done something wrong to face justice, to pay for their actions to be brought. It's like if it's Bill Clinton, fine. No, I don't have any stake in one individual or one politician. I don't. I don't care about these people on a level of like, oh man, Bill Clinton was on the files. Shucks, now my entire life's ruined. No, put the fucker in jail. Put him in jail. Let him spend the rest of his life in jail if he's on the file. If Joe's on the file, put Joe in jail. If Trump's on the file, put Trump in jail. I don't care what your political party is. I don't care what side you're on. You did something you shouldn't do, and you should be held accountable. And it's accountability. And my hope is that this line in the sand that has been drawn by that extreme side of the Republican Party um, is a sign of things to come. Like, don't let up. I find it weird that this is the hill you're dying on. Like, this was the straw that broke the camel's back because, like, yeah, at the end of the day, if you're not on the list, I get it. You're not going to interact with these people for the most part anyway. Like, it's a weird, like, yeah, I wanted P. Diddy to suffer the consequences of his actions, but at the end of the day, if P. Diddy gets off or doesn't get off, no pun intended, it doesn't really, I still have to go to work. I still have to take care of my kids. I still have to do what I got to do. So that's where I find it a little weird that like you draw the line in the sand for the Epstein files of like, yeah, we gotta get all these pedos. Okay, that's fantastic. I think that is a good thing to get them off the streets. But ultimately, in the day, if you get all of them off the streets on this from this defunct island that doesn't exist anymore because the guy's dead, um, I still have to go to work. I still have to take care of my kids. I still have to pay bills. I still have to do all that bullshit that's there. You would think the line in the sand would have been like, "Hey, those bills. Hey, my wages. Hey, the food that I'm trying to eat. Hey, the electric bill. Hey, the mortgage. All that shit's going up." You think that would have been a breaking point because that directly impacts people. Whatever. This shows me hope that you still have some sense of morality. I know there's the other argument to be made that, like how I just said, like it's a weird line in the sand, and some of those people who take that stance also goes, "Who the fuck cares? If he's on it, he's on it. Whatever. He's still my president." I don't have hope for those people, but the people that are pushing the issue, I have hope for because that is the line in the sand that broke it, and could be the aha moment of like, all right, let's take it down. And clearly, something exists. Clearly, it is going to do a lot of damage at a very high level with ripple effects across the board, to not get into conspiracy theories, but like if you weren't on it, if you didn't do anything wrong, why are you holding on to it? Especially if the people on the other side are on it and you don't like those people. A lot of the arguments also made is why didn't the last 4 years the Biden administration or the House and Senate go out? Because honestly, they didn't care, and because there's people on their side on it. There's clearly a lot of powerful people on this list. Look what happened with the P. Diddy thing. I mean, it's entertainment, but it really rattled the core of like all the names that were coming out and who were involved in these weird baby oil parties. It changed the landscape of that part of the entertainment business. Now take that, amplify it by 100 because you got world leaders. You have people who are probably running multi-billion-dollar corporations. You have a infrastructure that's going to be rattled to the core. As somebody who likes to watch a little bit of anarchy and shake the system and wanted that break, my hope is that it would be released and it would break it. But you know what the grass is on the other side. But my hope is that people drew a line. They finally drew a fucking line in the sand because like it was just 6 or 7 months of just nah, it's the greatest thing he ever did. Nah, he's right. Nah, that didn't happen. Nah, like this is the one thing you guys stood like people are like the majority of Americans are coming together and standing united on. Like more united since like probably September 11th. Like that's fucking crazy. Can't get united on the fact that like, treason and revolt was happening on January 6th, 2021, but these damn files. And that gives me hope because it means there's a rationale there that can still be leveraged. It gives me hope that people legitimately want consequences for actions. And that if you realize that this is all just a power play to keep people like he was broke, he was sending out emails begging for money because of all the stuff that was going on from his first term. And the only reason he ran for president is so he didn't go to jail and he got money back. And he has achieved both. He's not in jail and his net worth has gone up by like 1.5 trillion. He got his goals. Why did he give a damn about you? He doesn't. He does not. And with hope in this hopeless time that feels like you're just getting kicked in the teeth and kicked when you're down and you're doing the right thing, both whether you're Republican or Democrat, you go to work, you make your paycheck, you take care of your family, you're trying to earn the American dream. It gives me hope that 7 months in, we're seeing it, and that history books will look back that like, hey, they weren't all like America was not a big ball of stupid for 16 years. Yeah, they got the fleece pulled over their eyes for a bit, but they bounced back. They bounced back stronger, and that's my hope. That's hope. It's the hope that I make a podcast, and then one day one episode takes off, and I get to do this for a living. That's the hope. That's the dream. While still maintaining some kind of like sanity. It's my hope that people will choose to do good over bad time and time again. If you talk to me in private, if you know me, you know that I have a very dark sense of humor and a very negative view on things. And realistically, I lack the emotional part of a human being and kind of go full Vulcan and go logical based sometimes. Like I don't react on emotion. It can come out and look emotional, but that's because I've gathered data for so long, I've bottled the data up, and then at one point the computer blue screen to death and just goes fucking ape shit. That's what happens to me. Um, and really, I've been gathering data. I've been watching everything that's happened since in this calendar year of, and it's just looking at it of like, yeah, it's pretty shitty. And I am not even on the tier of the most affected. I have to. I feel like I need to preface that probably at the beginning of this episode. But every time I've spoken to these matters, either through a post on social media or through previous episodes or any other podcast we do, I I'm not. I feel the stress of the lifestyle I want to live versus the lifestyle I currently can afford. I feel the stress of the housing market and just just in the 90s, a family of five could live off of one salary of 50 to 60,000. I'm making much more than that and having problems with a family of four. So I get it. Like there's a lot of stress there. There's a lot of like we need change and let's grasp straws at things that don't look the same as what got us here type thing. But in collecting the data, watching everything play out, there's hope because I do feel like as of August 8th, 2025, we are at a turning point. We're close. We're close. So again, weird line in the sand to start breaking the camel's back, but if the camel's back is fucking breaking, let's fucking go. And my hope is that we come out the side better. The hope is for the podcast to succeed. The hope is for the gaming stream to have an interactive community that's fun. The hope. It's what keeps you going. You wake up every morning because you hope that your family has a good life and you're going to provide that family in the hopes that they keep going. Hope. And that's why I wanted to kick off this season of Dacetacular Mind on the topic of hope. I have a lot of topics lined up that I've got up here that I'm going to try to record. We're going to be a bi-weekly podcast every week that the For Real Convos isn't happening. I'll be doing a Dacetacular Mind. Gives me some time to regroup, because I did attempt to bring this back earlier in the year. I was very nasty and negative. So a lot of the conversations we just had in the last 30 minutes was very not forgiving, not hopeful, not hopeful. There was no hope there. It was just like burn it to the ground, start again. And anyone who got caught in the fire, leave them there because they belong there. And I didn't want to hear that. Like literally had the same conversation that we had on this podcast that you probably, if you agree with me, fantastic. If you don't agree with me, that's your right that we will hopefully still have in for years to come. So it's weird to end the season premiere and just like, yeah, I'm hopeful. I don't sound it a lot. My face sure as shit does never shows hope. Usually shows frustration or mixed with a like, oh, that guy's probably constipated. Um, but yeah, hope. Hope is why I brought this back. Hope is that in talking things out to a camera by myself, uh, reduces some of my stress, reduces some of my anger, and maybe hopefully helps somebody else. Or hopefully removes people from my life that don't agree. Like, if you think I'm an asshole, if you think I'm an asshole, move it right along. That's fine. Um, I'm not trying to impede your life. Don't impede mine. And don't hold on to that bitterness of the fact that, like, oh, God, I fucking hate that guy. I wish he'd shut up. Okay, there's a very simple method. Don't listen. I'm not going out of my way to put my words into your ears. This is the therapeutic part of me. I just happen to post it. And if you listen, you listen. Fantastic. If you don't, you don't. Because the hope is that somebody does. But realistically, it's therapeutic for me. Yeah, I think that's a good episode back. Um, I'm not bitter. I am stressed. I'm not going to pretend to you like I'm not stressed the fuck out. There's a million things going through my head, and that's why I don't sleep at night. But doing these projects gets me through the day. Um, but hope. Rebellions are built on hope. Stupid. Rogue One. Yeah, that's going to do it for the premiere episode of Dacetacular Mind. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So this is dropping on August 8th. The next episode will be August 22nd. I will try to record that quickly because I will be busy. But we're going to talk about topics about me. Some will be fun, like we just went to SummerSlam. I like to recap that weekend. Wade's 3, like talk about how that terrorist operates. And then we'll talk about topics like this too. I mean, we live in a culture where like everybody's like, oh, well, let's not get political, but realistically can't because it has taken its claws and dug so far into your life and been intrusive that it will come up no matter what. Because literally everything that's happening right now is impacting everybody. Different variations. Like I said, I'm definitely not at the extreme end of the impacts. Probably middle ground, mainly economical. None of the civil rights or equality that's being attacked, but uh, everybody's feeling it right now. And the hope is we come together and get past this. So, Dacetacular Mind every other Friday when the Four Real Convos isn't happening. Four Real Convos is a great podcast hosted by Trisha Lynn. Drops every other week. We just did one on dystopian films. The next one coming out on the 15th, next Friday, is Summer Coming of Age. We'll talk about some summer films such as like The Sisterhood of Traveling Pants, Sandlot, just like things where kids got to be kids and experience summer and be hopeful before society just crushed all that, which they're actively trying to crush that at an earlier age. Right, Florida? Florida knows what I'm talking about. Minecraft Monday, every Monday, hosted by yours truly. Currently working on an NES Entertainment System museum. So we usually do a museum in our realms. We're working on one this time to kind of like build it in the form of NES because we named the realm Hyrule. Every Wednesday is the Jersey Fanatics. It's been Eric and I for the most part lately, but Tyler Freed is in and out. New dad, busy man. So that's why he comes in and out at times. But we give you all the Phillies hot takes. Kyle Schwarber won't be here next year. That's the hottest take. That's not a hot take. That's an obvious take. Every Thursday, the weekly protocol. Reformatted it. We merged the Dace Man show style with what we tried to attempt in season 1 of Weekly Protocol. smashed it together, and now you have yours truly as the host, Chris the Dace Man Dace, with permanent co-hosts Corey Bean and Frank Ward. And the idea is to start integrating BPP members into segments to break up the two panels we do. Usually a news-related segment, then into the protocol. We've talked San Diego Comic-Con, and then we've talked the AI protocol. So we got more episodes every Thursday, 10 a.m. is that drop. Every Friday, like I said, it'll either be a Dacetacular Mind, and the weeks that it's not, it'll be For Real Movie Club, or For Real Combos. For Real Combos, not Movie Club. And we're also posting articles on reviews. Like I said, I watch a lot of TV, and a lot of people on BVP have lives and don't. So in order to express my thoughts and opinions on TVs, movies, stuff like that, that we can't get together and do like a podcast format, I've started writing articles at basementprotocolproductions.com. And Thursday nights, I try to stream a retro game or a game that's like a single player. Right now, we're in Donkey Kong Bonanza for the Switch 2. Loving it. Just beat the Lagoon level, 100%ed it, got all the fossils, got all the bananas. It was a good time. We now move down to sub-level 2. Work on that next Thursday. So thanks, guys, for hanging out. And like I said, hope. We're there. I feel like we're at the cusp of a turning point. Just hold on, hope. It's the last thing that's holding me. Scrub song. I don't remember who sings it. Stupid information that's held in this brain. But I'm hopeful. And the reason I'm hopeful is the reason I'm pushing out content right now. So content goes down, hope goes down. They're interlocked. Thank you for letting me into your ears. I probably just blew them out with that thank you. But this has been a Dacetacular Mind with Chris the Dace Man Dace. So for the few, for the proud, and for the Dacetacular. Miss saying that weekly, but now I get to say it bi-weekly. This has been a Dacetacular Mind. We'll see you down the road here at Basement Protocol. Remember, baseballers, stick to the protocol.